Danny Jordan is re-elected Safa president unopposed after Ace Ngobo withdrew amidst claims he was threatened. Family and friends pay tribute to world-renowned photographer Sam Nzima, who was laid to rest in his hometown of Lilydale. The Bulls' Super Rugby playoff ambitions are in tatters after a 38-28 loss to the Brumbies at Loftus. This is eNews at 7 p.m. I'm Tony Ndoro. Very good evening now. Safa President Danny Jordan is hitting out at former PSL referee Ace Ngobo, who withdrew from the presidential race at the 11th hour, saying he was threatened at the elective conference. The two were the only candidates for the presidential position. Tobane reports.
Danny Jordan has been re-elected unopposed as the head of Safa. This is after his only challenger, Ace Ngobo, withdrew from the race with allegations that this elective congress is corrupt.
The very same electoral committee that presided over this process was unlawfully appointed. They know. None of the vetting processes that are supposed to take place have taken place. So every single thing that constitutes a lawfully convened Congress has been violated. I can't tacitly give my approval to such a fraudulent scam by participating in such a process. That's the reason why I had to pull out.
It's nonsense. Here you are witness to this election. You are sitting in the room. You look for yourself. We have in this room the electoral committee. Some of these men are senior advocates. They acted as judges in the Supreme Court in this country. In this room, we have representatives from FIFA. So it's your choice. You can pick whose opinion you want to listen.
Bafana are yet to qualify for a World Cup under Jordan's watch. He is hoping they will play in 2022. He is also promising to revive women's football. The National Women's League will be launched in 2019. The association is also looking at the feasibility of hosting the International Women's World Cup. Tobane, Johannesburg.
Veteran photographer Sam Nzima has been buried in his hometown of Lilydale in Mpumalanga. Nzima died at the age of 83 earlier this month. The photojournalist is revered for his picture of a dying Hector Peterson during the 1976 Soweto uprisings, which revealed the brutality of the apartheid system. Deputy President David Mabuza says Nzima refused to allow hardship to stop him from fulfilling his dream of becoming a famous photojournalist.
Immortalized an 18-year-old Mbuyisa carrying a lifeless body of a young Hector Peterson. To this day, that iconic photo remains a reminder of our past, a reminder of our history. It became the emotive and historical landmark feature that forever defined how the June 16, 1976 narrative was told here at home and in the world at large. Because of this captivating but also horrifying picture taken by Ubaba Nzima, the whole world took notice of the brutal killings of innocent people in our country.
Mpati Nzima says his grandfather Sam Nzima was not just a photographer but a great family man as well.
I can tell you today that my grandfather was not just a photographer, but a phenomenal man, inspiration, and father. Granny, it would be impossible to acknowledge Grandpa without acknowledging you. You've stood by Grandpa through thick and thin. You've been his pillar of strength, his support, and the woman at his side, no matter where you look. Granny, if it were not for you, not only would we not have the strength to be up here before you, but I imagine that Grandpa would not be the man that we have all come to love.
Police Minister Bo-Kaap says the police won't stand by and watch the war against policemen. He says police must use deadly force if they are under attack. The minister was speaking at the funeral of Midlands Station Commander Malefetsane Mofokeng, who was shot dead in Soweto. Samkele Maseko filed this report.
The resisting of Cele calling the war. I can't call the war that has been declared. The war has been declared. Ours is to fight it.
The minister has presided over 4 funerals of police officers gunned down by criminals. He says no criminal who kills a police officer should rest peacefully at home.
The duty of the arrester is to arrest everybody and anybody that breaks the law. But it goes on to say, your duty is to protect any citizen of South Africa that threatens, that his or her life is threatened. And protect yourself. If it needs be, use a deadly force.
National Police Commissioner Kehla Sithole says officers shouldn't die with their guns on them.
And as we continue to fight and make the legacy of the brigadier live, let us not die with our guns.
Samkele Maseko, Soweto.
Tshwane Mayor Solim Simanga was hijacked in Midrand in the early hours of this morning. He was reportedly leaving a restaurant when he was confronted by 2 armed men. Simanga was not with his bodyguards at the time of the incident. Robbers made off with his luxury German sedan. Simanga was not harmed, but he says he's still shaken. 2 suspects have been captured on video shooting a woman in a car at a petrol station in Delft in Cape Town. The CCTV footage has been making rounds on social media. The incident took place yesterday at a Caltex garage. 2 men can be seen firing shots at close range. Police spokesperson Noloyiso Rekwana says a case of attempted murder has been opened. No arrests have been made. Now, 2 men have been arrested following a night of violence in Cape Town. 9 people have been killed and 2 others injured in a spate of taxi-related violence which began yesterday afternoon. There is suspects who were arrested after a taxi was shot at in Wynberg. Police and emergency task teams have been called to various scenes. So today officially marks President Cyril Ramaphosa's first 100 days in office. Saftu Secretary General Nzima says the president has failed the poor and the working class.
For us, the poor is getting poorer, the rich is getting richer. The resolutions of the capitalist crisis, the resolution of the crisis created by the inner problems of the ANC are being resolved at the back and at the expense of workers. And that's why we're saying no to corruption, but certainly no to Cyril Ramaphosa's presidency too.
Well, there have been mixed reactions to his time in the highest office. While some believe he is doing a good job, others, like political analyst Mweletsi Mbeki, beg to differ. Mbeki believes Ramaphosa hasn't done anything to address bread and butter issues.
He hasn't really been preoccupied with the issues of poverty, unemployment, and fixing the economy. He is fixing the ANC so that the ANC stays in power after the next election. The issues of poverty, unemployment have been secondary. If there's anything that has happened, it has been an unintended consequence of his effort to repair the ANC.
Coming up after the break.
They're putting up our rates. They're putting up our cost of our water. They're making it very impossible for us to stay here.
Residents of Bo-Kaap in Cape Town are fighting for heritage status to stop the area from becoming unaffordable for locals. We'll bring you the details after this. Yeah. Bo-Kaap, yep. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is it another? Okay. Okay. The big UEFA Champions League final tonight. And Rafael Nadal says despite injuries earlier this season, he's confident ahead. Welcome back. Now, protests over land and housing are rocking Cape Town, and one took place right in the heart of the city. Bo-Kaap residents want their neighborhood to be given heritage status. Now, they believe this will stop the area from becoming unaffordable to live in. Saftu has more.
They first come and entice us with their rands, their dollars, their euros. Now what they're doing, they're putting up our rates. They're putting up our cost of our water. They're making it very impossible for us to stay here. They use this area as a tourist zone.
Bo-Kaap residents ended their week of protest by breaking fast and holding a mass prayer. The gesture is a way of including the entire community in their fight for heritage status.
With heritage status comes a lot of other things, like, for example, certain buildings within a certain height are not allowed to be built. You know, certain developments that want to come into the area have to come through the community first.
Their list of demands is being considered by city officials.
They're waiting for the city to sign off on the heritage overlay. That's been in process for a while. It's still in a court query. They're also asking that any property which the city owned is no longer sold on the open market, but kept aside for social housing.
Residents say many people have been forced to move out of the area because of high property prices that push up tariffs.
Growing up, I used to know my neighbors. I used to talk to them all the time. Out of a lane that used to be all people who are from the area and all Muslim, now a lot of the houses have been bought up by foreigners and have been turned into things like guest houses.
The city will respond to demands by Wednesday. Saftu, Cape Town.
Now, further afield, Ireland's anti-abortion campaigners have conceded that they've lost the national referendum. The counting of ballots continued this morning, but the Irish appear to have voted overwhelmingly in favor of abortion. The leader of the Save the Eighth campaign says he would have preferred the vote to have gone the other way, but he's had to accept that people wanted to change legislation which banned abortion in the predominantly Catholic country. Here's a recap of your main stories tonight. Danny Jordan is re-elected Safa president unopposed after eNCA withdrew amidst claims he was threatened. Family and friends paid tribute to world-renowned photographer Sam Nzima, who was laid to rest in his hometown of Lilydale. Coming up in your sports news after the break, all the build-up to the big UEFA Champions League final tonight, and Rafael Nadal says despite injuries early in the season, he's confident ahead of the start of the French Open. Stay with us. What's the score? Who's won the Stormers or the Chiefs of the Lions? Okay. Yep. I'll check. The rugby subs. Okay. The Jaguares. Yeah, those idiots. That. Yeah. Should even been. Yeah. Okay, that's all we have. This evening after the break, your weather details, and then an exhibition at the Johannesburg Art Gallery is creating a space for conversations about rape. Okay, cool, gotcha. Yeah. Who won the Stormers with the thing?
You know what you can do? What pizza? Where's pizza? What did they say? There's pizza. From more. Who put pizza? I'm going to get 3 boxes just to punish them. I don't want to eat pizza.
It doesn't say. The Brumbies delivered another blow to the Bulls during a faltering season with a come-from-behind victory at Loftus in Pretoria. The Jaguares extended their winning streak in Super Rugby to 6 games. The men from Argentina beat the Sharks in Buenos Aires. But we're taking a look now at those pictures of the Brumbies against the Bulls. The Bulls were far from dominant in front of their home fans, but managed to take a 14-10 halftime lead. The Brumbies were the strongest side in the second half, despite being a man down. They showed that by claiming a 38-28 victory, which moved them to 3rd spot on the Australian log. The Jaguares extended their winning streak in Super Rugby to 6 games. The men from Argentina beat the Sharks in Buenos Aires to keep the pressure on the Lions in the South African Conference. The Jaguares registered a bonus point victory, outscoring the Sharks by 4 tries to 1. Winger Ramiro Moyano was the star of the show, scoring a hat-trick. The football news, Didier Drogba and Steven Pienaar know the pressures that come with playing in the UEFA Champions League. Although Pienaar never reached the final, his mind is made up on who will win tonight's match between Real Madrid and Liverpool. While the man who led Chelsea to the title in 2012 has chosen to sit on the fence, he expects a highly entertaining match in Kiev.
Well, for sure we're going to see goals, because those teams, they like to score, they like to attack. And Madrid concedes a lot of goals, Liverpool as well. So for sure we're going to have a lot of drama, we're going to have a lot of goals, and it's going to be a very interesting final.
Who would you pick to win there?
It's difficult for me because I have friends in both teams, and it's very difficult. It's a very difficult question for me.
No, for me, you know, obviously with my Everton background, I'll have to say Madrid, they've got the experience, obviously. They've won it twice already, and obviously they want to go for the 3rd. But also on Liverpool's side, I mean, there's a lot of players in here that want to write history. So for them, I think it's a good opportunity to put their names down in the history books. So it's going to be an exciting game tonight, a lot of drama, obviously. It will be great if they do win it for the Premier League. You know, it's one of the best leagues, and if they do, it will be great for the league. But personally, as an Evertonian, no.
The 122nd edition of the French Open serves up on Sunday, and the men's top seeds are very optimistic ahead of the tournament.
Good, of course. After a very tough beginning of the season with 2 injuries in the same place. It's true, since I came back I played well, played a lot of matches and having good success since I came back in the Davis Cup. But every tournament is different, and here we are to try our best, to have good days of practice before the tournament starts, and try to be very competitive for the beginning.
It's obviously been a fantastic clay court season for me. Winning so many matches in a row as well over the period of Munich, Madrid, and Rome was great coming in here. Obviously, there's a lot of other great players that are playing here. I mean, Rafa and Novak and everybody, they're all getting on top of their game, and I think this is going to be a very interesting tournament.
Formula One is at its most glamorous location this weekend for the Monaco Grand Prix. Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo claimed his first pole position in 2 years in qualifying earlier today. The Australian capitalized on his dominance around the street circuit over free practice as he edged out Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Ricciardo's teammate Max Verstappen failed to qualify, though, after crashing out and damaging his car. Well, that's all we have for you sports-wise. This evening, after the break, we have your weather details, and then a new exhibition at the Johannesburg Art Gallery is creating a space for conversations about rape. Stay with us for the details.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Center. We had cloud-free skies across much of South Africa during the bulk of Saturday, but over the southeastern areas we have quite a bit of cloud that has started to move into parts of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, where we could see light rain in places for much of your Saturday night. Now on Sunday we are going to start off the day with a bit of fog along the west coast, much of the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga. Then later on isolated showers can be expected for the eastern areas of Limpopo and Mpumalanga and also over parts of KwaZulu-Natal. It will be mostly fine for much of South Africa, but further west we will see quite a lot of high-level cloud moving into the western sections, and we are going to be watching this cold front which is set to hit our shores as we go into Monday. Now in the meantime, here's what your Sunday is going to look like. Mostly sunny across much of the Northern Cape with quite a bit of high-level cloud. Upington warming to around 28 degrees. The high-level cloud is going to be thicker across the Western Cape where partly cloudy skies can be expected. Cape Town and Worcester warming to around 23 degrees. It's going to be mostly sunny and mild for much of the Eastern Cape. East London and Port Alfred both peaking at 22 degrees. We are going to see a bit of rain along the KZN coastal areas and the adjacent interior. Durban and Richards Bay warming to around 24 degrees. Light rain can also be expected for the eastern areas of Mpumalanga. It's going to be mild to warm for much of the province. We will also see a bit of rain for the eastern areas of Limpopo, including Polokwane, where a high of 24 is expected. Mostly sunny skies are forecast for the northwest, where top temperatures in the mid to upper 20s are forecast for your Sunday afternoon. It's going to be cloud-free across the Free State, Bloemfontein warming to 24, 25 for the high in Felcom. Gauteng will be mostly sunny to partly cloudy, with Pretoria making it to 25 degrees on Sunday afternoon. On Monday, it's going to become cloudy, rainy and chilly for the western areas, mostly sunny skies for the eastern sections. Then on Tuesday, thundershowers are forecast from the Free State into KwaZulu-Natal, light rain for Gauteng, wet and chilly weather continues for the western and southern areas.
The Johannesburg Art Gallery is hosting the Close exhibition. It tackles topics of proximity, intimacy and tension as well. Now, 11 artists from different parts of Africa are being featured. Other artworks also explore themes of personal space and violence. Ditiro Selepe has the story.
Addressing proximity, intimacy and tension. The Close Art exhibition aims to promote conversations and change perceptions of the continent through contemporary art. One of the artists showcasing her work is visual artist Meniet Vari. Her work is titled Life of Babu.
There's a continuity in terms of how women present themselves. You will see the Babu figure. She is missing something crucial. She's missing the middle part. No arms, no breasts.
But the showstopper is Unoktula by artist Nondomiso Msemanga. She is best known for hanging 3,600 pairs of panties on washing lines across the streets of Joburg to highlight the scourge of rape in South Africa.
The performance itself is about my mother and I's relationship and the difficulties of our relationship, because I was molested when I was 6 years old, and so my mother and I have never been able to communicate because she doesn't really understand what it is that it does and what it does to me, and so she tries all the time to try and find ways to make me better, but she still doesn't know how to.
She wants her art to create deep conversations.
So the conversation is also between the black community and the gap that exists between us and our ancestors not knowing what we're supposed to do when rape happens in our homes. So my conversation is about questions. So what I would like for people to take home with them is to take home questions and to start asking, what can we actually do? So we can try and find ways to be able to actually start moving through this issue in another way.
The exhibition continues until the end of June. Ditiro Selepe, Johannesburg.
Recapping your top stories, Danny Jordan is re-elected Safa president unopposed after Ace Ngobo withdrew amidst claims he was threatened. Family and friends paid tribute to world-renowned photographer Sam Nzima, who was laid to rest in his hometown of Lilydale. The Bulls' Super Rugby playoff ambitions are in tatters after a 38-28 loss to the Brumbies at Loftus. That's it from us. Have a fantastic evening.